Obviously, huge Leeds United fan, Gabby Agbonlahor there, about what his thoughts were on Leeds and the season that they were going to have. And I'm not sure you predicted that they'd finish 9th in the table, but this season marked their return to the Premier League after a 16-year struggle in the Football League, and they have finished in the top half of the table, their highest Premier League finish since 2002. So, yeah, you were pretty critical, I think it's fair to say, Gabby, about Leeds. Have you changed your opinion of them at all?
I think at that time, the way they were playing, it was a bit basketball mad, wasn't it? I remember
gung-ho, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember the game against Manchester United where I think the loss was 6-1. I remember watching the game thinking you can't do this. You're gonna get some bad results. And the last half of the season, they've changed their way. They've been so strong defensively. I think Bielsa's probably learnt that you can't play man for man against the likes of Rashford, the likes of Sterling, and get these results. So they've adjusted their game, I think, still with the attacking threat they've got. And the last half of the season have been outstanding.
I suppose, I think you've sort of given them some credit there. But you're right that they have slightly changed their style, not as gung-ho as I mentioned, and very much shored themselves up defensively, which was one of their bigger problems at the start of this season. For you, Ali, when you look at what they've achieved and what Marcelo Bielsa has achieved, is he in with a shout? Because we talked about it a little bit for that Manager of the Season nod.
He's done brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I don't think anybody could deny that. They have been a joy to watch, a breath of fresh air. I've loved watching them. I've been down to see them on numerous occasions. In fact, the last time I saw them was probably their poorest performance, and that was at Brighton, where they were well beaten at Brighton. But over the season, I just think they've been magic. They've had so many unsung heroes, guys like Dallas and Phillips, and we know about Bamford, obviously, and Rafinha's been magic. Harrison Ayling, goalie Mellier, who didn't play at the weekend. They've just had so many success stories, Leeds. And it's like anything else. And I can understand one or two of the sceptics, if you like, still thinking, okay, well, Sheffield United did it that season, and look at them now. Next season is going to be vital for Leeds. But you'd have to say, I just think they look better placed. And if he adds to the squad, they could possibly even improve. Natalie, Gabby, I've loved watching them, but I think Guardiola would be ahead of him in the Manager of the Year stakes, as I would also think somebody like Brendan Rodgers would be.
What about you, Gabby? It's got to be in the reckoning, surely, Manager of the Year.
I wouldn't go that far. I think he has done a great job with Leeds. To
get them to win over the fans a little bit.
It's too late. That ship sails, Natalie.
No, he's been outstanding though. Just the breath of fresh air, hasn't it, for the Premier League, to see a team come up and not be scared.
Here. There's a
not be scared
coming.
of teams. And we've seen many teams come to the Premier League and sort of park the bus against the big teams. They've gone out and said, we'll play our game. If we lose 6-7, we'll lose. And they've obviously lost 6 to Manchester United. But yeah, he's done well, and he's learned while he's been in the Premier League. He's changed it up a little bit. He's defensively they're looking better as well. But like Ali says, next season's a big season for them, because we've seen last season with Sheffield United. I think they finished 9th. I mean, bit of coincidence there. So you never know what can happen next season. So second season syndrome can always happen to teams. So they've got to start the season off well.
Sounds like you're kind of still sticking to what you originally were making of Leeds. But look, I mean, there's absolutely no doubt that what Marcelo Bielsa has done at the club, even when you go back to when he was in charge of them in the Championship, he has transformed so many of their players. Stuart Dallas was at Brentford, and I absolutely adored him. He was one. There was just something about him I always thought was a great player. But did I expect him to go on to have this career in the Premier League? No, not at all. And I'm pretty sure some of those players themselves would even think they never thought they would go on to be achieving what they are achieving right now. Stuart Dallas, I think, has won all the awards this season for their player of the season. So he's had a terrific year in the Premier League. And only 5 other clubs have scored more goals than Leeds in the Premier League. So you're talking Manchester City, Manchester United, Liverpool, Leicester and Spurs. But when you do look at that top half of the table, they have conceded the most amount of goals, which goes to show what Leeds are all about. They score loads, but they will concede some as well. But we talked about how they've improved themselves defensively. Ali, Gabby there was perhaps suggesting that there could be a second season syndrome on
Yeah.
the cards for Leeds. Where do you think they can go on from here? Can they build? Can they become a team
Absolutely.
to challenge in Europe?
Well, an answer to your question, Natalie, yes, they can. Because I think the job that David Moyes has done at West Ham has proven and indicated to a lot of people that it can be achieved. Moyes was another one that probably, in my opinion, would be above Bielsa in the perhaps the running for manager of the year, because the big fella's done an unbelievable job.
Yeah.
Unbelievable job at West Ham. So, but in answer to your question, that could be achieved for me. The same could be achieved by Leeds United in terms of what West Ham have done. Miles, I think it would be asking far too much for them to do, maybe break into the top four or even achieve what Leicester have achieved in terms of, almost getting top four. Could they win a cup? Yes, MD can win a cup. But in terms of the next step, I think the next step would be 6th, 7th, 8th, that Europa League place. And if they, if the recruitment is good, I don't see any reason. I just don't see, and I know what Gabby's saying, and I think I'm guessing he might have his tongue firmly placed in his cheek. I just don't see Leeds having a second season like Sheffield United.
The first order of business for Leeds this summer, of course, will be to secure the services of their manager, Marcelo Bielsa, because he's yet to commit to another season. He tends to do this, doesn't he, though? Always signs like a one-year deal, and as he did last season, it was like the day before the season even began that he signed up to a new deal. But that's something, no doubt, Radrazani will be looking to do to make sure that Bielsa stays at Leeds and continues to build and progress. And I think it's fair to say they have been one of the most exciting teams to watch. And I know there'll be people listening in who think that the media are fawning over Leeds. And I don't think it is. I think they deserve the credit because they have been an exciting watch. Whether it's because they've conceded bagfuls of goals or because, they've gone up the other end and scored a few. And Patrick Bamford has been instrumental to that. 17 goals to his name. We know in the last England squad, which is, we should say, the official squad to be announced tomorrow for the Euros, just quickly on that, should he be in that England squad? I know Ollie Watkins was preferred last time round.
I think he'll miss out because I don't think Southgate's going to bring in someone who hasn't had an England cap into a European Championship squad. But I think he misses out just because Greenwood. I think Greenwood's a better player, better finisher, but Bamford's unlucky to miss out, and I just think Watkins will get in before him because he's a different sort of striker.
Yeah.
But he'd be unlucky to miss out.
Absolutely. He's the fourth highest scorer in the Premier League as well, Patrick Bamford, and has dismissed all of the suggestions that people made at the start of the season saying that he couldn't make it in the Premier League. He's certainly done that this season, but I reckon you're right as well. I think Ollie Watkins will be preferred because he was already in the squad last time around as well.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Laura Woods. Monday to Wednesday morning, 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.